Guardians of the Galaxy is jam-packed with Marvel Easter eggs, especially those related to the Marvel Cosmic Universe. So what I'm going to try and do here is touch on as many as I can, and of course, spoilers for Guardians of the Galaxy and a stack of other films in the MCU. Let's kick things off with Chris Pratt's Peter Quill and his love for all things from the 70s and 80s. Obviously, his character is influenced heavily by movies like Indiana Jones. He even mentions the Ark of the Covenant at one point, with one of the first scenes in the film a pretty clear parallel to Raiders. The obvious John Stamos, Kevin Bacon, and Ranger Rick references aside, his ship, the Milano, is actually named after his childhood crush, Alyssa Milano. That girl he forgets is on his ship also happens to be Bereet, a Krylorian who in the comics has had dealings with the Hulk. Peter Quill's absent father also cops a mention, who for those in the know turns out to be Jason, ruler of the Spartoy Empire. His father will probably make an appearance in the follow-up movie, regardless of whether they go with the Spartoy origin or something else. As for the other Guardians, there are a few things of note. Drax the Destroyer mentions towards the end of the movie that Thanos was pulling the strings, causing Ronan to murder his family. In the comics, it was actually Thanos that killed Drax's family, with him then getting a new supercharged body with the sole purpose of Drax the Destroyer-ing him. At one point, Peter Quill puts his Star-Lord mask on Gamora, possibly a nod to her taking on his role in the 100th anniversary of the Guardians, and Rocket, as voiced by Bradley Cooper, calls Peter Quill's satchel a purse, with his character Phil from The Hangover saying something similar to Alan in that first movie that inexplicably became a trilogy. Yondu is also a member of the first Guardians team from the comics. And though the character seen in the film differs significantly from the source material, there are a few nods to his origins, in particular his blue skin, his quasi-red mohawk, and that arrow thing controlled via whistling. In the comics, Yondu is portrayed as a skilled archer, with him able to alter the direction of a fired arrow using a variety of whistles similar to what we saw, though his degree of control shown in the movies appears greater than the comic version. The troll doll Peter Quill swaps out for the Infinity Stone is probably just another 80s pop culture reference, but it also could be a sly nod to Pip the Troll, who's affiliated with Comic Guardian member Adam Warlock. It's probably a bit of a stretch though. Moving on, no doubt everyone noticed the Stan Lee cameo with Rocket paying him out for being a creepy older man. The Infinity Gem, or Stone as they're called in the movies, that was present is most likely the Power One. I only make mention of this because it's never specifically stated which one it is. The Celestials also make a couple of appearances. If you're not sure who they are, they're just kind of these giant ancient space gods. The most prevalent one was the Severed Head, which is referred to as Nowhere. In the comics, it serves as the Guardians' main base of operations. Also in the comics, Nowhere's chief security officer is a Russian dog that was used and then lost in a space test flight. He appears in the collector's room, captured and displayed in a glass case, and also seen freed in the post-credits scene. This telekinetic talking dog is extremely intelligent, inexplicably, and is an ally of the Guardians. Though in the past he has had run-ins with Rocket. The movie briefly highlights this when you see them kind of look at each other, and there's not a lot of love going on there. The collector's room, though, is packed with Easter eggs. The cocoon rumored to be holding Adam Warlock again returns. That was previously seen in the post-credits scene for Thor the Dark World. There's also a Chitauri, as seen in the Avengers, the leader of which gets his neck snapped by Ronan in front of Thanos. There's also a Dark Elf, again seen in Thor the Dark World, and some people claim to have seen Beta Ray Bill in the background. He's a horse-faced alien man who in the past has gained the powers of Thor, which weirdly people seem to have less of a problem with than a woman doing so. There's also one of those slug creatures from one of James Gunn's previous films, Slither. And speaking of James Gunn's other works, Nathan Fillion, also from Slither and incorrectly rumored to be playing the role of Nova, a character that didn't end up appearing at all, he voices the blue-skinned alien that Groot lifts up by the nostrils in the prison. Also appearing as a prisoner is Troma Entertainment figurehead Lloyd Kaufman. Troma, of course, kicked off James Gunn's movie career. Gunn also appeared as one of the maskless Sakurans. They're those aliens, one of which Peter Quill refers to as a Ninja Turtle. Interestingly, they're also heavily featured in Planet Hulk. James Gunn's brother Sean Gunn also performed the mocap for Rocket Raccoon and improvised the line about the Guardians being a bunch of jackasses standing in a circle. He's also seen as a member of the Ravagers in live action. Right there! By the way, Rob Zombie, although not seen, voiced the Ravager Navigator. James Gunn's dog also makes an appearance as the holographic canine with a little girl on the abandoned world of Morag from the beginning of the film. And finally, before I wrap this up, getting back to the Collector, his assistant, Karina Walters, is actually the Collector's daughter, and in the comics goes on to be the partner of Marvel villain Michael Korvac. But she exploded, so that's probably not going to happen. Last of all, infamously courtesy of the 1986 Lucasfilm film. Howard the Duck, voiced by Seth Green, makes a brief cameo post-credits. Obviously, he was someone the collector was holding on to for some reason. For those wondering, James Gunn has specifically stated that this is meant as a joke nod to the character and not really anything else. So I wouldn't be holding my breath for any Howard the Duck solo movies. That's a shame. Thanks everyone, and for those new to this channel, I make new videos every Thursday and Sunday, as well as record a podcast for comicbookmovie.com called The Weekly Planet. That's out every Monday, with the latest episode being a spoiler-heavy discussion on Guardians of the Galaxy. I'll link that below, but you can also find it on iTunes, where it's doing pretty well, and also at the terrific comicbookmovie.com. But did I miss any Easter eggs from Guardians of the Galaxy? I'd say definitely. If so, it'd be great if you could mention any of those in the comments below. And if you've got nothing to add, I'd love to hear what your favorite Easter egg was. Alright, that about does it. Thanks everyone, take care.